Ooh, you should probably get rid of that. So hopefully you will hear me just fine. Let me know if you can hear me. I know there's a little bit of delay. Meanwhile, I'll put this one up. Thank you so much, Barbara. Or how do you say Barbara in Italian? I might have to ask Alex because I know he can probably pull that off. Although I know that you said that you like it in English, English pronunciation. So bring your questions. I have one question pre-asked from the Facebook group, which is going to take me a few minutes to reply to. But other than that, I'm looking for questions. Yes, it's pretty good. Awesome. You hear me. Dick, she's here early. Hi, amazing people. So good to be on time. Yes. It's so good to see you, Dick. Well, although I don't see you, I see your name, but I'll imagine you. Hi, Sylvia. Good to see you all. Okay, it's time to answer some questions, and I'm going to get the question up on the screen because you might not hear what I read if I don't. So Alice was asking this in the Facebook group. She said, thoughts on healing osteoarthritis with carnivore. Do you think increased fat is helpful to healing this kind of arthritis, which is different than the more common rheumatoid arthritis? Do you know of supplements that are helpful for osteoarthritis? By the way, I have osteoarthritis. So should I get rid of that again, or do you want to keep it there because it's right in my face? Not my face, my head. I'll keep it there for a little bit. So I have, and I know that you posted another one where you were looking at some calcium supplements. There were different forms of calcium in there and some magnesium and stuff. From what I know, I haven't tried anything. I think I have some arthritis in my neck, but I've never had that looked at. I know there's been a lot of arthritis in my family on my mother's side, so I suspect that's something that I'm very prone to. Always been like cracking all over the place, and it's kind of getting worse with age. So, but I haven't tried to do anything about it. But as you may or may not know, I've been trying a lot of different things to deal with the inflammation I have in my sinuses because they're always like more or less blocked. And I don't seem to be able to get rid of that. So um, I was thinking, I don't think it's bacterial. I definitely don't think it's viral. Um, I suspect that it's fungus, but I'm not entirely sure about that either. I simply don't know. But a really strong antifungal mineral, should I say, is boron. So few months ago, I started drinking a borax solution. And I joined a borax group, and I can send you the link to that if you want to on Facebook. And I'm drinking quite a lot of it pretty much every day. You're supposed to take 2 days off, but I forget. And the majority of people that are doing that are doing it for arthritis, both forms of arthritis, I think. So I have sent you a PDF and I can get that up on the screen as well. If you just hang on, I'm going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to share the screen. If I can find how to do that. And there it is. So I've sent you this one. I assume that you can find it on this address if anyone else is interested, but if you can't find it there, just send me an email and I'll be happy to send it to you. So, pim@pimjohnson.com. I can put my email up on the screen as well. So literally, this is, I mean, they are quoting a few studies, etc., but it's all like observational stuff, what is happening, what benefits they've seen for different people doing different things. And they're talking about the health effects of boron and the arthritis cure of Rex Newnham. So you can have a look at that. There's lots of information here. Talk about how it regulates sex hormones, uh, fungi and fluoride if you have a calcified pineal gland, that sort of thing. But I'm not going to go through this, but I thought maybe I'm going to stop sharing that. I've sent it to you anyway, so if you want to read that, you can read it and have a look at that. I don't know about, I mean, carnivore is probably good for most people, most conditions, for the simple reason that it's an anti-inflammatory diet. So I do think that it's going to help with that, but if it's going to sort of cure it or reduce it, or I don't know. That's not my expertise. But if anyone watching this live has done it or know of someone who has done it, like leave a comment and just point Alice in the right direction so she can have a look at it. So that's what I wanted to say on that. And yeah, on with regards to the calcium, I'm not so sure that it's going to help because we often have a lot of calcium and it's hard to get deficient in calcium. What the problem usually is that the calcium is deposited in the wrong places. So one of the things that boron does is that it's remineralizing your bones and it brings other minerals with it. So it brings calcium and it brings magnesium. So you have to take magnesium with it. Otherwise, you might get in trouble because it's going to take all of that magnesium and put it back into the bones, etc. So you can just read up on that. I'm not the expert, but that's how I understand it. Okay, let's see if we have questions. Yay! Adek is really happy to see me. You have to send me a picture so I can see you. Oh my goodness. Back on the wagon, have bacon and eggs for breakfast. Good job, Kat. That's what we talked about. I think you can do it. Exactly. You're always one meaty meal away from getting back on track. And that's the interesting thing, is like I've said that to a lot of people this week. Like, try to get rid of that all or nothing mentality because that is fucking you up basically. If you think that you have to be perfect in order to make a difference, and as soon as you make a mistake, you're just gonna go overboard. It's better to just make that mistake, learn from that mistake, and then get back on track again. You're gonna get so much more benefit from that. So stop beating yourself up, people. There's no use in doing that. And we just, at least but I suspect that all of you want to do this. You are interested in your diet because you want to feel good. And you're not going to feel good if you're beating yourself up. So stop doing that shit. I'm going to swear today. I feel like it's a swear day. I haven't quite woken up, but it's a swear day. Let's see. What to eat for fat when beef fat is unappealing? Butter? Pork fat? I mean, anything that has fat in it. Like, how much fat do you want to eat, and what is the problem? I mean, you don't have to eat beef fat, lamb fat. I hate lamb fat. I don't eat lamb fat, but I don't see that as a problem because I like beef fat. So maybe you like lamb fat. And if there is any type of fat that you like, just go to a butcher and ask them if they can put some aside for you, and you can supplement with that. Works a charm. I love how you say my name. Yeah, but I want to say it in Italian. I don't know about my Italian accent. Mm, I probably have to work on that though. Um, Thanks, Adek. Yeah, bone marrow, egg yolks. Oh God, I can't. The funny thing is, if I'm making something and it's like a little piece of bone marrow, I'll suck it out and I'll just swallow it. But I just can't chew on it. It's the consistency of it rather than the actual taste of it, because it doesn't really taste of anything. Uh, Egg yolks, bacon, pork belly grease, lard, ghee, butter, tallow, perhaps ducat. I don't even know what that is. Can someone tell me? Chicken skins. Oh, that is delicious. So when I'm making like a chicken broth, I just take a whole chicken, I de-skin it, and I make chicken chips from it. So I just like put it in the oven. I cut it up into smaller pieces, put lots of salt on it, put it in the oven, and then it just comes out crispy and stuff. Oh, that's delicious. It's not it's not quite as good as pork crackling, I think, but it's different because you don't have that fat and it's very thin, so it's different. I've heard boron is great for quite a few ailments and we are deficient in it. Yeah. I mean that PDF that I put up on the screen, I think that one is mentioning like how much boron there are in certain areas of the world in the water, etc., and what we probably should be having. So if so this is for Alice or anyone who actually wants to take boron. If you do make a standard solution, which is often talked about, and how much you're going to take of the standard solution, you're not taking just the powder, is you put 1 teaspoon of borax in 1 liter of water. That is a standard solution. And you start with 1 or maybe 2 teaspoons per day, and then you can go up from there. I'm drinking 2.5 deciliters, like 250 milliliters per day. I don't know, a teaspoon is like 5 milliliters, so it's quite a lot of teaspoons. And I just put in my coffee. And if I don't have coffee, I have a day off because it tastes a bit soapy. Like it's very alkaline, so it's kind of weird. I don't want to taste it, so I need to put it into something that doesn't that has its own taste. So coffee works fine. I can put it in like a chai tea or something, but not too much because there's like a limit to how much I can fit in there. Um, I've actually put it in scrambled eggs a couple of times, just because you need to have some liquid anyway to beat them up. So be creative, just put it in everything if you like. Or you can dilute it even more and just drink the whole solution throughout the day. So if you're like me and you drink 2.5 deciliter and you know that you're going to drink a liter of water anyway, just take those 2.5 deciliters, put them in a 1 liter container and just drink that throughout the day. It's not too hard to do. I mean, it's not disgusting, but it's not pleasant, I don't think. Let's see. Casually tucking into 55 grams of butter, 12 grams of whey, 3 organic eggs, and 80 grams of salmon. 80 grams of salmon? That's not a lot. I mean, you're a big dude. Come on. You should say 800 grams. No, I'm just kidding. Oh. Oh, I didn't see any notifications again. YouTube is such a joke. Does this for me. Yeah. You have to set your own alarm. Do you have when you subscribe to my channel, which I think you are, there is that I think you can choose to get notified. There's like a notify me button. Just make sure that that is ticked. Um, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that Phil was knew a lot about that, but that's good. So I don't think she's here yet, but she's probably going to watch it on replay if nothing else. Oh, thank you, Kat. I forgot about that. I mean, that's not osteoarthritis, but you know, it's still arthritis, and she had quite a severe case of that, like hip replacements and shit going on. So it wasn't good. Oh no, did you write 2 questions? I didn't see them. I checked less than 2 hours ago. So where did you write those? I still can't only see 3 comments on the day. Can you just paste them into the chat and I'll answer them for you? Now I see 4 comments. Okay, well, I see it. I just can't get it up. Uh, you know what I will do? I'll paste them. This is like copy paste saves. I'll see if I can paste all of that. Let's see. Okay. That was number 1. I'll get to it when I get down there. I don't want to mess up the chat because if I lose track of where I am, then I have a problem finding my way back. And last week I missed a lot of questions and I had to go back, so I don't want to do that. Um, I just drink fat. Okay. What fat are you drinking? It sounds horrible. Yes, perfection is overrated. It's all about progress, not perfection. Yes, stop doing that shit. Hehe. Yeah. Like every time you are beating yourself up, just like give yourself a nudge and like, I should really stop doing this shit. And then you can kick your own ass. I don't need to do it. Yes, I recently learned how to not be a black and white thinker, and it has helped with eating this way as well. It helps with everything. Because if your motivation is dependent on you being perfect, it's going to be really hard because we're human beings and we are not perfect like most of the time. Things are going to happen. You might be able to be very close to perfect with your diet or something else, but if you look at your whole life, you're not going to be perfect in all areas. Oh, join my club. I'm also super picky about food in general and nothing is appealing. I know how you feel. I'm still wondering, like drinking fat, what I want to know. My hubs has both osteo and autoimmune forms of arthritis, and my understanding is that how reversible it is depend on how much permanent damage has been done. Yes, I think so, but I have seen people who have been taking borax in that Facebook group who have actually made a massive difference. So there are people like me. I always say that, like, no matter what I do, it's like I'm really resistant to everything. I'm resistant to getting any sort of benefit from doing the right thing, and I'm also resistant from getting symptoms when I'm doing the wrong thing, except for the bloody headaches, but they usually only getting really bad if I'm zero carb or if I'm eating a lot of carbs. For now anyway, and I'm still working on that and I'm still no wiser. But anyhow, yes, steak and eggs and steak. So glad I have no problem with yolks and I'm not singing it for you. Adek, are you the same Adek from Steak and Butter Gals group? Yes, that's the Adek. Oh, good. A rationalization to keep drinking my coffee. Sorry, Alice. Glad you're here now. Or maybe you were here before, just didn't say anything. But you got some good advice there, and I don't know if you saw Contact Phil Escott. He has Escott. I want to say Phil Escott. It sounds very French. I think he has a Facebook group as well. I can't remember what it's called, but if you can't find it, let me know and I'll find it when I'm on there. Yes, there's only one, and it's the Adek. Let's see. It has taken a long time. The missing piece was diet for my brain, and I was deficient in protein and fat. My complete attitude change came with 80 to 90% protein. Holy shit, that's a lot of protein. Okay, you can eat 80 grams of salmon then, if that's your fifth meal. It must be such hard work to just eat and eat and eat. It's like you're constantly priming. I don't think I could do that. Excellent. Don't forget to hit the like button when you select all on the notifications too. Thank you. A surprise live stream. Oi, I'm here every week and I have been for 2 or 3 months now. This time, same day, every week. I'm trying to be consistent so that people will notice it. And I think it's sort of working because there are probably double amount of people here compared to what it was in the beginning. Okay, Miss Paprika, I got to your question now finally. So let's see. I haven't read these before, so let's just bear with me. It's a long one. Would it be beneficial to dig deeper into one's past to understand more of one's own psychology in hopes to find and or understand potential reasons for forming paths for carb cravings? E.g., to understand why the brain choose carbs as a survival solution instead of another, perhaps way better solution, better in terms of its interpretation of survival. Um, some people might be struggling and they want to understand everything. I like to understand everything. When I understand how something works, I can sort of rationally understand how I can undo that. I don't know which type you are, and it might be beneficial for you to understand like where it's coming from. I don't know if that's going to help you. It helps some people, and for others, it's just like information that they don't really care about. So I would say that's very individual. The carb cravings, I mean, the way that we create those neural pathways for carb cravings is the same no matter what you are being addicted to. So if it's carbs, it's just that maybe you like the carbs. Everyone likes carbs to some degree, and but different carbs for different people. And that will stimulate the reward system in your brain. You will have a big dopamine release, and that's just making you feel really good. So that's something that is sort of universal, unless you have something that is wrong there, and I don't think so. For some people, they get more of a dopamine release than others get from carbs, and I think that that's probably playing in when it comes to how addicted you're going to be to them or how easily you're going to be addicted to them. It's like some people, they just drink alcohol once and they're kind of hooked. Others like me, I don't think I could be hooked. Like there's nothing in my brain that says that I like alcohol. It's just awful. Um, so in terms of a better solution, I'm not sure what a better solution would be, because something that should feel like survival to your brain must be something that releases a lot of dopamine. And the problem in our society is that the things that release most dopamine are things like processed carbs, even better if they have some fat with them. And, YouTube, Netflix, anything that is sort of not natural, we are drawn to making connections with people, but that would happen like face to face naturally. And that should feel good, but not overwhelming. But when we are on Facebook, for example, just like you're getting all this input from all the people that you know, and your brain perceives that as a form of connection. But you are only sort of taking in that information. When you're here and you're talking to me, that's more like a face to face connection, but it's still more intense because you can hop from one live stream to another if you can find that many live streams, and there are a bunch of people here and you can interact with all of them at once, and that is going to create a lot more dopamine than just going and see one friend, for example, potentially. So it's everything that is sort of like, I don't know how to say, like concentrated pleasure when you get more of it, like having sex versus watching porn, which is very sort of all at once, because that's the purpose that is supposed to serve. It's supposed to be like the imagination of the best sex you ever had, always, and then you have to trump that, and you have to increase it more and more and more to get the same pleasure from watching that, and it's not even you participating in it. And it's the same thing with the food, like eating. If you find I don't know, raspberries, you're going to be like, oh, these are really nice, but raspberries don't even have that much sugar in them. Whereas if you take those raspberries and you go home and you make raspberry jam or something, you just like concentrating it, and you are much more likely to be addicted to that because it's concentrated. and you get much more sugar in like a mouthful than you would get from a mouthful of raspberries. So I'm not sure how to answer that question and if that was what you were actually asking. And you had another one, I forgot to paste that. But you're gonna have to wait a few minutes for the next one. I'm hopeless. The deck has a nice cue here. I had a flu this week and had a major meat and fat aversion. Why is it that I only longed for yogurt? I did not give in, had shrimp instead. That's a very interesting question. I would like to ask you, is that only happening when you have a viral infection or when you have a bacterial infection as well? I think, from memory, I hope I'm not wrong now, sometimes my brain is messing things up, that the flu, when you have the flu, you want to continue eating. And when you're eating anything when you have the flu, what you really want is the energy. So your brain is probably converting that to, I want quick energy because I'm not feeling well. Fat is not going to convert the same way. So I'm not sure if that's why you had fat aversion. But also, like, if you have the flu, you have a high temperature, and that usually reduces your appetite. But I don't have like a really good scientific answer for you. I'm just sort of theorizing here. Pim, what is your opinion on liquid foods? For example, 10 egg yolks with a cup of water and 50 grams of butter mixed in a blender as a coffee substitute. Does the body still absorb the yolks properly? Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, all you're doing is you mixing them up is going to make them slightly processed, obviously. So it's probably the absorption is probably going to be quicker. But egg yolks, there's a lot of fat. You most I can't see a problem with it. Someone else might see that might say that there is a problem with it and that you should never drink your food. I think that that probably comes from the overeating mindset that you shouldn't be drinking your food because it doesn't fill you up in the same way and you might be hungrier, but you are not struggling with like a weight problem or an overeating problem. So if anyone else has a different opinion on that, then please type it in the chat, but I can't see that it would be a problem. Absolutely not with the absorption. I can't see why you wouldn't absorb it just as well. Right, so my interview or Jonathan's interview with me is apparently up tomorrow. I know I saw it a while back when he scheduled it, but I forgot about it. So thanks for the reminder. You shall have to put it in the group. Yeah. My brother maybe had COVID and he craved carbs like crazy and gave into it because no appetite. He did feel better. I've had other people. I had clients who had COVID. Some clients who had COVID, they were doing fine. They didn't have to do that. Others were like, all I wanted was like orange juice and fruits. I'm not sure. So it could just be like those cravings are coming up because there is a need for the energy to just keep doing what you do and fight the infection. How long after eating should I refrain from drinking to help digestion? I don't know. Do you have a problem with digestion? So I'm just a person who naturally don't drink. Like I have to remind myself that I should be drinking because I forget about it. I know that a lot of people they like to drink with their meals and obviously that will dilute your stomach acid. So if that is a problem, then I wouldn't do that. But after the meal, probably depends on, how much have you been eating? How much problems do you get if you drink with your meal or right after? I would say you just have to sort of experiment because everyone is very different. Some people just don't have a problem with it. Um, when the digestive system is inflamed, carbohydrate is usually therapeutic. Using carbs in such a situation is, in my opinion, completely appropriate as long as it doesn't trigger you to binge. Yes. What was that about? What did I miss? See, I'm missing shit again. I can't find it. It's probably too far up for me. Right. Any opinions on the snack of brown butter and bacon frozen and chipped off to eat? I also read we should be eating a stick a day. Seems like a bit much. Oh, can someone remind me how much a stick is, like in grams? Because an American stick is a lot less than a stick of butter here. Um, I mean, who says that you should be eating that much? You just said that you were doing brilliantly on a huge amount of protein. So if you're doing like super well on that much protein, why would you want to start eating more fat? Unless that is making you feel even better. I think everyone's different and you just have to listen to your body and adjust so that you are actually doing what your body wants you to do. And I'm not talking about giving into chocolate cravings when you have them, because that is not your body who tells you to do that. That's your brain. But if your body is telling you that I crave protein, I want protein, this is what makes me feel the best, I wouldn't listen to anyone who tells me that I need to eat a stick of butter per day. Like, that is ridiculous. It, it might work for some people. Like for me, that will probably work really well, even though I don't know how much it is. But when I'm doing like a really high fat or several days of very high fat, moderate protein between 70 and 100 grams, I'm losing weight straight away. That's how I lose weight. It's just that I can't do it because then I get headaches as well. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to lose any weight because I'm rather have a little bit of extra on my body than having headaches. Uh, okay. Okay. Yes. So I'm just looking here. Patricia says that a stick is about 110 grams. Yeah. And Jonathan says in the UK, a brick block of butter is 250 grams. It's very rarely sold in anything, but now my chat jumped. In anything other than that, and 500 grams. It's the same here. That's why I forget. So 110 grams. Okay. Yeah, 110 grams. So that's maybe 100 grams of fat in that. That's fine. You can do that. I don't think that is too much per se, but if you want to be on a high protein diet and you're doing better that way, then you don't have to eat that much either. But I don't think 110 grams of butter is going to be too much. I like to think much, maybe sometimes even overthink. Yes, join the club. I overthink everything. So when I'm trying to analyze like what's happened to like my blood sugar and how are they related to my headaches and what did I eat, what did I, my brain is just like going, 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 and it has like 10 theories. And then I make the mistake of talking to someone I live with. I would say, he's like, I don't know. I don't know. He's super boring. I'm like, oh, fuck you then. I'll continue and do my overthinking on my own. I just want to kind of word it and see if it sounds completely ridiculous, but he takes it too seriously as if I don't know if that could be the truth, but I just want to discuss it. But for him, it's like either it has to be like this is what it is or this is what it isn't. There's no discussion. He hates discussing things for whatever reason. So I have to discuss it in my head. Mm. Okay, so for the brain, the dopamine kick is its best survival tactic, I guess. Maybe as a form of reward when one finds a good food source in the past equals found mammoth's dopamine party. Yes. So dopamine does a few things. So dopamine obviously makes you feel good, but when you have a lot of dopamine in your brain, your brain is in like a hypersensitive state where it learns things very easily. So if you found this mammoth in a certain place and you set a trap for that mammoth in a certain way that you have never tried before, and you get this mammoth, your brain is going to get that dopamine hit because you're like, yes, it worked. And then you're going to remember exactly how you set up this trap, exactly where you did it, where you found the mammoth, all the circumstances that led to that success. All of that is going to be imprinted in your brain because that's how your brain is wired. So that's why we always remember exactly where we found that chocolate in the supermarket, the chocolate that was really nice or really cheap or really whatever, because we're associating them. It's like, yeah, I need to find that again. Whereas if you buy something that is like, I didn't really like that much. How many times have you gone into the supermarket and like, oh, I can't remember where I found that thing, or I know that I found this super good stain removal or something, and your brain's like, oh shit, where was it again? There's no way you're gonna remember that shit because it wasn't rewarding. Sure, it might have made your clothes look fine again, but it didn't give your brain that sort of dopamine hit. So this is a survival tactic because the more dopamine you have, the more beneficial that thing would have been for your survival. So that could be like the first time someone managed to make a fire. It's like, that's nice. Now I'm not going to freeze to death tonight and I'm going to get my sleep and this is going to feel really good. Like, we're going to remember how to make a fire because that was awesome. So that's just how it works. No, Facebook definitely is not a real connection. And that's where the frustration is coming from. Like, you think you're connecting with people and you're telling your brain that you're doing it, but you know that you're not doing it. And that's probably why a lot of people are getting depressed because they don't get the real connection. And it's just an overstimulation of a fake connection that pretends to be a real connection. And your brain can't really see the difference. So it's still going to get the dopamine hit, but you are not going to get the same um, pleasure from it in the same way that you would do with real connections. And there's never going to be that, the serotonin and all of that because that part is missing and you're not going to get the physical contact with people. And we need that as well. Right. Paprika's second question on Facebook. So, what could be the reason someone has never-ending thirst signals despite drinking water after water? 1 liter in 1 hour. Mouth is dry, etc. Could that be due to chronic dehydration? Because in the past, one didn't drink more than 1 or 1.5 liters a day and instead munched on sweet stuff. Or eating not enough in general, real food, or at least not enough fat, so the body reasonably craves. Um, I mean, how many hours do you crave 1 liter of water for? Is it just like in 1 hour, or is it 1 hour, 1 liter per hour throughout the day? Then that is not normal. You would have to, like, do you have any other symptoms of type 1 diabetes? Because that would be a big warning signal to me if I was that thirsty constantly. If it's just something that is like for a day or two, it could be like maybe you just have a weird mineral imbalance or something, and your body is just trying to correct that. If it is right after you just quit drinking a lot of stuff like Powerades or whatever and eating sweet stuff, then it could probably be like carbs they bind water in your body. So when you stop doing a lot of carbs, you're going to flush out that water. And with that water, you're going to get a flush out of minerals. And then you're going to be dehydrated and you're probably going to be really thirsty as a result of that. So if that is the case, then I would just start adding a lot of salt. Definitely table salt, but you can also add a little bit of potassium chloride or something like that and get some magnesium as well. Oh, I missed the last part. Crave so much for fluids water. Yeah. So depending a little bit on what the situation is, you would get a different answer there. I can relate to what you said about being part of a large Zoom meeting. Lots of energy and vibes. I need to take a nap after them or watch your live. Yeah. I mean, we're doing the weekend hangout in the Facebook group now, and I don't find that so draining, to be fair. It's mostly pleasurable, and it's more for everyone, so it's not like I have to drive it or anything. I mean, I'm opening the Zoom meeting and I'm making sure that everyone feels welcome, but that's more for everyone to sit and discuss and just have a good time. But like the best thing I know is just like connecting with people, helping people, coaching people. That's what I love. But as an introvert, that is very draining to me. Like after I've been speaking to 6 people in a day or even more sometimes, I just feel like I'm gonna lay on the sofa and listen to my audiobook. That's what I want to do. I would just want to escape the world. I don't want to interact with anyone in real life. It's just like I need some time down, time out. What's wrong with me today? I've noticed that I can't properly talk today. It seems like everything is a tongue twister. I still don't know what Adek said, but Patricia says that I've had success in such a situation with small servings, half a cup or less of some carby food that is not as palatable, like plain cooked oats or white rice porridge, with no added flavorings. That's funny because I was doing rice for a while to get those carbs because it's just ugh, it's as boring as chicken. Chicken, like, you bodybuilders. If Jonathan is still here, like chicken and rice, that is like it's like the Halloween food. Like this scares the shit out of me because it's so unappealing and boring. Um, but I did 3 days of sweet potatoes to try and stop the oxalate dumping that is happening. And now that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So now it's day 3 of not having any carbs again. And I'm finally starting to notice that all of those itchy bumps all over my freaking body are actually going down. So I think that really helped to stop the dumping. So I'm going to do it this Friday again, but maybe 2 days and see how that goes. Because I don't want to eat 3 days of sweet potatoes necessarily, even if it's not more than maybe 30 grams per day. But I prefer not to, really. I don't know. This is the first time I got sick in almost 10 years. Oh, you're talking about that. I did have a few days that I couldn't eat, but overall I could eat. Okay. You're welcome for the theorizing. Yeah, I really don't know. Should probably speak to someone who's more into the medical stuff. If I ever became sick, I fast for 24 hours to give my body the space to heal. Yeah, I think that should work really well with like a cold, but not so much with the flu. But that might just be myth. But I did read something about the theory behind that, but that was several years ago, so I can't remember exactly what it said. Miss Pagan, I have missed you. I haven't seen you forever. How are you doing? Are you feeling better? Yeah, liquid fats equals more GI dishes issues, diarrhea. It could definitely do, especially if they are rendered. But if the liquid fat is, let's say, I don't know, egg yolks, you're probably not gonna get diarrhea unless you go from very little fat to a lot of fat. Okay, so Jonathan has a one answer for you. 30 minutes minimum after eating. If you do have to drink, having a hot drink. Why does it have to be hot though? What's the difference between a hot and a not hot drink for digestion? That is, because that's what we were talking about. Another thing with being sick and craving carbs might be that the virus or whatever needs sugar to grow, just like cancer. So believe you need carbs when in fact you support the bad stuff. Maybe. Um, Yes, but you also need your immune system to be able to increase your temperature and create a lot of immune cells. So that's why I'm saying that kind of makes sense now when I'm saying it. So that's probably why you shouldn't stop eating when you have the flu because you need energy to actually increase your temperature, etc. Whereas on a cold, you usually don't have an increased temperature. That's how I think it is anyway. But I might be wrong. Blah 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 blah. Yes, so Austrian butter sticks are also 250 grams. Yeah, I think they are in like most of Europe. It's just you US people who have your 110 or as Dex says, 113 grams. That's not I've never been in the US, so I'm not familiar with what they even look like. Um, let's see. I'm definitely not getting enough fat right now. Dry skin at the moment. Well, maybe you should go and eat a stick of butter. There's a fad going on in the carnivore space to eat 80/20. Yeah, I think there is a reason for it though, because a lot of people who want to lose weight, they actually get stalled weight loss. And for me, that works. If I'm eating 80% fat or more, my weight loss just kickstarts and paddle along at, about a pound a week or whatever. If I can do it, but I can't do it because my head is more important than my belly. Um, and I think also that comes from Dr. Boss, and she's working with really sick people that might actually benefit from being in a very high ketotic state, but that doesn't mean that everyone should be in that state. So if you are someone who's not that sick, why would you do it? Especially if you don't need to lose weight or anything. But like play around with it, see what works for you. It should always be something that works for you. I like 80/20 for me because obviously I'm losing weight. That's great. It's a nice side benefit. But also I like it. Like I like eating that food. I never feel like I have to push it a little bit. I have to be consciously adding more fat. I don't have a problem eating it, but my brain is like, we don't eat that much fat for whatever reason. It just looks like it's a lot. But once I start eating it, it's not that hard for me to eat. So it's more of a readjustment in my brain for how much of that I should put on my plate and how much of that I will be able to eat. Okay, Dr. Bright advises a stick of butter, but therapeutically only and not longer than a month or two. There you go. That's very, very interesting. Half of the people I know doing 80/20 have gotten fat by their words. They're reaching out to me already. So that's interesting because for me, it has the opposite effect. So again, like do what works for your body. I don't care what it is. If it's 90/10 or if it's 50/50. If it works, it works. Don't fuck it up. Like if you know what works for you, why would you change it? There's no point. Well, chocolate has gotten me lately. Miss Pagan. I know sort of I can understand why, maybe. I've never been pregnant, so I don't know how those cravings feel. But you take care of you. Try to feel your best, girl. Um, Jonathan says, Bot and I seem to have gotten it right so far. I'm telling people that are around 1 to 1 protein to fat grams and adjust from there. Yeah, that's a very good start. But again, like, don't get so stuck on figures that someone else has made up for you or think that, like, you say that this is working for me, like 80/20 works really well for me in terms of that, but I cannot ever be zero carb right now anyway. Like in the future, I'm hoping that I can be zero carb and still not have the headaches. but I can't. So now I'm playing around with I'm gonna try to do 5 days of zero carb and then 2 days with a bit of sweet potato to stop the oxalate dump and say I start eating again and also prevent those headaches. But I'm gonna have to keep experimenting with what works for me and go as low on the carbs that I can. And it's not like I'm eating a lot of carbs. I'm talking about 30 grams. That's still like in the ketotic range. And my ketones might temporarily plummet to zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6 right after I eat carbs, but it usually takes more than 30 grams to do that. But after a few hours, they're up to 1.5 again. I can't seem to stop making ketones. And I know some other people have the opposite problem. Like, no matter how zero carb they are, they just get to 0.678, and I'm getting twice as high without even trying. So we're all really, really different. Same here. Have plenty of ideas what something could be. Need to tell them to my hubby, and he's just like, who cares? Yeah, you just come and discuss it with me, and we can theorize. You really should come on to the Zoom weekend hangout because that's the place. We can just sit there and discuss things that no one else cares about. Pim, is he your husband? No, I'm not married, but he lives in this house with me. And I don't think I've never had the need to get married. It just feels like something society is trying to push on you for whatever reasons. Uh, Bart sent me a very informative and helpful video this morning. A living legend. Okay, but what was it? You don't want to share what what it was helpful for? Holy shit, 110 pounds of turkey you processed on Saturday. That's a lot of turkey. I don't like turkey much. It's like all, I like duck, but chicken, turkey, it's just too dry for me. Sugar is a very powerful dopamine trigger, and dopamine helps lay down neural pathways very quickly. Yep. Da, 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 da. It also sounds like an electrolyte imbalance or salt. I don't know, Adek. I have been pounding the salt. I've been putting it in my water. I've been putting it on all my food, and I'm taking extra magnesium, especially since I'm drinking borax. Imbalance potentially, but I'm not even. I used to take potassium, but I'm not even doing that because I know that the kidneys are regulating very well when it comes to how much sodium you should have, but not doing as well with the potassium. So I don't want to overdo that. Uh, I just don't see how that would be the case, even though I know that migraine brains requires a lot more salt, but I'm eating so much salt, it's coming out my ears almost. I wish it was that simple. Why does it seem that I have no willpower? Changes in behavior only last a few days, no matter how much I want to change. This is with everything, not just food. Ismail, the challenge has already started, but I'm going to do it again in November. It's Master Your Carb Cravings Challenge. Please join that one. Like if you're on this channel, just check out. You can't sign up right now because I've taken down the sign up page because I don't want people trailing in after we started. But what you want to do is like you don't want to use willpower. You want to just accept that you're going to have cravings. This is a normal physiological response to those foods because of the dopamine and because how the brain is designed. You're always going to have cravings, and the cravings can change. My cravings now are just thoughts. Sometimes I get a random thought like, ice cream. I have no idea where it comes from. I can sit and be doing work on the computer or whatever, and I just get that random thought. But it doesn't emotionally engage me anymore. It's just a thought. They are just words to me. Whereas it used to be kind of nudging me towards moving and go and get ice cream or whatever. I usually don't have ice cream at home because if I do, I eat it all at once. So that wasn't never the case, but it could potentially get me to go and buy ice cream or something. So you just want to get to a state where you can accept that you're going to have cravings, but you don't have to respond to the cravings. Because every time you respond to the cravings, you will just strengthen this neural pathway. So you want to create a new, better neural pathway that will give you the results that you want. And in this case, I would recommend that you just allow the craving to be there. You can feel that you're having a craving, be okay with it being there, and not go and eat it. And you just repeat that. But I'm teaching you in a lot more detail how to do that in the challenge. So keep your eyes out for that one, or if you want, send me an email. Yes, I forgot. I should put that up on the screen. Send me an email. There it is. And I can email you back when the next challenge, when you can sign up for the next challenge. I'll just put that on my to-do list. And yes, this is with everything, not just food. Yeah, because that's how your brain works. We have patterns that we want to follow, and these are the patterns that we always gonna lean on. So I was talking about a few months ago, like I'm currently like working on my procrastination. I'm not doing that anymore because I'm not having that problem as much anymore. So I need to focus on one thing at a time. And I'm sure that my urges to procrastinate are gonna come back. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect 100% of the time, but it's an urge to do something that you don't really want to do. I mean, you do want to do it, but up here you're thinking, no, I don't want to do it. Why would I do it? Why did I do it? So you're always going to have urges to do things that you decided that you weren't going to do because you don't think that they benefit you. But the brain is still getting a dopamine reward from doing that. So when I'm procrastinating, for example, I get away from the pain of whatever it is. Like often it's if I have to do something like technical shit, like setting up landing pages for when you want to register for the the challenge, for example, my brain's like, "Ah, I really don't want to do that right now because I know that something's going to go wrong." So that's what I'm trying to avoid by procrastinating because it feels a lot better to just go and cuddle the puppies or play games on my phone or go and look in the fridge for what I can eat. That feels a lot better than actually dealing with and setting up all that tech that I know that something's probably going to go wrong because it always seems to do for me because I'm tech incompatible apparently. Um, let's see. People are drowning in salt and drowning themselves in water to dilute and excrete the excess. This has come up in Amber O'Hearn's group and it's getting on my nerves. Um, I'm never thirsty, Jonathan. I don't think that I'm saying I'm never thirsty. I'm never excessively thirsty. As I said, I don't tend to want to drink. I tend to forget to drink despite eating a lot of salt. So I don't think that is the problem for me either. This is actually funny. If we all could get let go of the 2 liter myth and just drink to thirst, that would be a good baseline. That's what I always done because I drink very slowly and I'm struggling to let me just get rid of that. And I'm struggling to force myself to drink, so I've always done that. And I had a type 1 diabetic friend when I was a kid, and I used to spend a little bit of time with them, like a couple of weeks in summer, because she moved away out to the countryside. And her mom, first time I was there, she phoned my mom and she said, "Is there something wrong with Pim because she's not drinking at all?" So obviously she had a little bit. One of them was actually not diabetic, so I imagine that he would drink like a normal person. But having like watching a type 1 diabetic child that probably drinks a lot, or I know that she was drinking a lot, and then me who was drinking a lot less than a normal normal child, she just thought there was something wrong with me. And my mom was like, no, she's always like that. And people always been telling me, oh, you're gonna get problems with your kidneys and blah blah blah. I haven't tested my kidneys, but I don't think anything's wrong with them. Um, and when I was studying for my master's degree in nutrition, we actually had a kidney specialist. He came in And the first thing he said was literally he had a go at us. I think we were maybe 25, 30 people in there, so quite a small group. And he was like, "Okay, this is how many people are here, and we have like 20 water bottles on the benches. Like, get rid of them. Stop just drinking for the sake of drinking. Drink when you're thirsty." So I was like, "Yes, no problem. I shall do that." Uh, 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 uh. Right. So my question was not about the 2 liter myth. That myth annoys me too. My mouth is mostly dry, and I need to know if this is a serious issue or just thirst signals. And if those were thirst signals, I seem to need more than 2 liters at the moment with my still crappy diet. Okay, but it's not a liter an hour throughout the day. And if you are thirsty and it's kind of in the normal range and you need between 2 and 3 liters, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just do it while you're letting your body get used to the new way of doing things, like not drinking sugary drinks, and let it adjust. Yes, not perfect. Good. Just take care of you the way that you know how to do. Um, Patricia says maybe a dry mouth syndrome. Thirst can be a symptom of autoimmune dysfunction, inflammation in the salivary glands, or some medications can cause dry mouth. Yeah, good points. Hot drinks seem to improve digestion in that your enzymes will have more reactivity with the additional temperature increase. I'm not wording it properly. I'm heavily medicated at this time. Excellent, Jonathan. Yeah, so that's a good point, I suppose. Yes, chicken and bone broth with lots of garlic. Okay, let's see if we have questions. Oh my god. I'm so sorry I missed you. Thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Someone richer than me super chat Pim. Yes. If you have too much money, super chat in my way. Oh, Lilith. I love 80/20 because I put a stone on finally. I'm over 100 pounds at least. Well, that's good. So not everyone wants to lose weight, and clearly this approach works for you to actually put on weight. So that's perfect. And I think it's really important that we talk about how the same diet affects people so differently. Like you really, really have to try and see what works for you to get you the results that you want. If someone says everyone needs to do this, I know that it's definitely a keto person has been saying everyone should be eating 200 grams of fat per day. And I'm like, even like a tiny woman versus a big man, like Jonathan and Lilith stuff. Like, should they both be eating 200 grams of fat? And she says yes. That doesn't make any sense in my head. Why should someone who weighs less than 100 pounds eat 200 grams of fat? And someone, I don't know what you weigh, Jonathan, but you're a big dude with a lot of muscle. Why would that doesn't make any sense? Anyhow, I'm gonna stop moaning about that. Stop growling. So Bart is on speakers. We're just doing an NLT session, and she can hear that, so she has to growl. We're gonna finish up very soon, but I'm behind on the chat today. 10 minutes. Yeah, nothing that is good for me to eat is appealing to me. I think it's because of years of processed foods. Yeah, you'll have to give it a few weeks to let your taste buds adjust. And still, your brain, even when your taste buds adjust, your brain is still gonna think like, we know that there is better food out there, and we're gonna crave it. So just be prepared that that is going to happen, and just give it some time. I mean, as I say, I always have like garlic butter or something on my steak because I find it too boring to just eat steak and salt. And I don't think the garlic is doing anything to me. Yes. Absolutely. Only you know your body best and what works for you. 80/20 has been working for many women in our group, but like Jonathan says, it didn't work for all women. No, it never will. Doesn't matter how much we want it to work, it's not going to work for everyone. Mm, yes, we're talking about priming here. Awesome. So Jonathan is going to interview, or has maybe interviewed Raymond already and talk about priming. No, I believe to talk about priming. Okay, cool. Let's see. Question. Yes. Thank you, Kat. Again, take a second to smash that like button. Help out. Her Royal Majesty Pim. Yes. Thank you. Flavored soda water really helped me in the first months. Sugar and carb cravings were bad. Yeah, I mean, whatever works for you. I don't care like what your strategy is, as long as it doesn't trip you up. If flavored soda water gets you to feel like I've had clients who just like they quit the carbs and then they get addicted to the flavored soda water and they just drink that all day long. And I'm like, we need to cut this out. This is a problem because you're feeding the same addictive pathway. It's just that you've changed from carbs to something that isn't as detrimental to your body, but it still doesn't help you to stop craving. And craving stuff 24/7 is awful. We want to have that freedom, the freedom to actually think about other things in our heads. So don't do that. I watch videos to keep myself motivated. There's so much I forget that I'm conquering, and watching and rewatching is essential for me. Yeah, for me too. Yep, excess thirst can be due to a lack of salt. Yep. Ooh. You're just talking about rewatching people, and I found that funny. Watched the random cycle like 10 times, didn't get it. Took notes, worked out pathways on a piece of paper, got it. First time as I was actively engaging with it. Yeah, this is what I always did when I was studying. I'm not, I mean, I don't have a bad memory, but just learning like words, terms, things, it's not engaging. Like my brain's just like boring, boring. But when I can look at biochemical pathways and I actually follow them and understand this is happening because that is happening because that is happening, that is when my brain is learning. So that's a really good tip for if you want to learn something, take notes and really write it out and think it through. Like, why is every single step here happening? What is causing it? Because if you're just watching it like 10 times and you're not doing that, you're probably still not going to learn it because none of it makes sense. You need to have sort of a understand why things are happening. That's making it so much easier. Da, 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 da. Okay. No, I don't drink a liter an hour. Thank God for that. Was just an example from this morning. Drank a liter in 1 hour, and after a few minutes, 15 to 30 minutes or so, my mouth was dry again. Hmm. Keep an eye on that and see what happens when you manage to actually stay off of the carbs for a while and see if that changes. God, they're loud out there. Do you guys hear them as well? I mean, they are in the living room. It's quite far away and still very loud because she's on speakers. And I'm trying to read, and then she's talking. Ah. Well, no, your mouth shouldn't be dry, but as was it Lilith Stuffer said it, if you don't have enough like electrolytes to keep the water in and it's just going through you, you're just gonna dehydrate yourself even more. So get some salt in. 240 pounds currently, eating 300 grams plus fat and 250 grams of protein. That's so much food. Hmm. Keto person is very dogmatic and also is an omnivore. She's quite rude about Kelly Hogan too, so I'm not hugely convinced by her wisdom, although 200 grams of fat is not a problem for me. Yeah. 200 grams of fat, I only eaten it a few times, and that is kind of my upper limit. My stomach started to get a little bit dodgy when I reached that, so I seem to be doing quite okay on 180 grams or so, which seems to be about right for me. But I could probably eat more over time when my stomach adjusts. Sleep well, Barbara. I'm gonna go on Google and see if I can say Barbara in Italian. I respect her experience, but she constantly tells the viewers how she doesn't mean to be rude, then continues to be damn right arrogant and disgusting towards other YouTubers. Well, what is Bart? Is he not rude? And you like him? Yeah. 10 hours reading, watching versus 5 hours watching, 5 hours repeating yourself is such a huge difference. Yeah. It's all the difference. Yeah. I don't In your case it might be fine, but generally, I mean, I did the keto treat video the other day, so if this is leading to you getting like dependent on having that carnivore ice cream, maybe not the best idea, but whatever you want to do. And you might think that this is temporary, I hope it is, then it's fine. Like, not a problem. It helps keep me motivated to get really mad at big food companies. They want to keep us sick, start eating clean, read those labels, they will tick you off. You want stop jumping. You want to support them. You won't want to support them any longer. Yeah. I think I said that very recently. It's like, if nothing else, if you can't get motivated, it's like every time you buy a chocolate bar or something, you are supporting the people that you don't want to support. You're supporting an industry that is destroying people's health. So even if you can't do it for yourself, do you really want to support that industry? Just ask yourself that question. Keto person scares me. She openly talked about someone's husband ending up in the hospital following her advice. Okay, so maybe her advice wasn't good then. But cred to her if she's actually talking about it. I think that's important. Let's see. Questions. I don't like Bart. I love Bart. The difference is Bart gets it patently correct over and over. But he can be very condescending and rude to people. Yes, Adek, she did a live afterwards and was very sneery about her. What did I miss now? Mm, okay. That was about Kelly Hogan. I still have no idea what heavy cream translates to in Europe. Look for any cream, like it might be called double cream or heavy cream or whatever, but if it has around 40% fat in it, that is what we're talking about. Yes, I will have an eye on that. I think I have definitely too little salt with my meals. According to my observation notes, my cravings are heavily linked to my thirst and some other factors. Yeah, so it could absolutely be. Eat more salt. Yes, very rude about Kelly Hogan. Not a fan of Stephanie. I shouldn't have mentioned her. Now everyone talks about Stephanie. I agree. Why can't we just be kind to one another in the carnivore space? We should support each other. Where is that carnivore zen? Exactly. Person looks fit and well, and whatever she's doing works for her, but she isn't carnivore deck. She thinks carnivore is stupid. Yeah, she's what's the word? She's very opinionated. And you know, some people like that. Good for her. And if what she recommends works for those people, good, because that is her diet isn't terrible. Like it's so much better than most people eat. So if she can help people that want to eat that way, I'm happy for that. But I do not agree that everyone needs 200 grams of fat. So certain things that you say are just very black and white again, and I like to actually open up for that gray zone when it comes to adjusting your food. Surely you must have some sort of high fat cream in Austria. I would be surprised if you don't. Right. Okay. They can't be nice to each other. They're all competing for people to pay them for coaching. I have paid clients as well. I'm not going to be rude to people or put them down because people who are working with me are people who resonate with me and who wants my help. I don't think that there is like now Stephanie isn't doing what I'm doing, but let's say I was doing the same thing as she's doing and helping people with their diet. People who like me are probably going to come to me still, and people who like her, they're going to go to her. Like there is no reason for us to do that. Like that's just silly, and it's probably going to hurt her more to be like that. But there's still going to be people that like her. Nope, Adek is definitely not rude. Adek is lovely. So I finally got to the end of the comments. So next week I shall go back to doing this in an hour again. So now I'm going to go and prepare for the training that we have in the challenge. And I will see you guys next week, unless you are in the Facebook group, which is called Life Beyond Cravings for Kick-Ass Ketovores. You can join that one if you're not in there, if you want to get more content on. So today is my Wednesday, most people's Tuesday. So on Thursday, I'm going live in there every Thursday as well. But that's just for the Facebook group. And then on Saturdays, we have a Zoom weekend hangout for an hour where we just hang out. So if you want to get into that sort of stuff, meet other people who are super cool, super supportive, just get in there and hang out with us. It's really nice. Um, blah blah blah. This was a lovely chat. My cortisol levels are definitely low. Good. Thank you, Miss Paprika. Thank you, everyone. Love you all. Please be kind to yourselves and other people. We don't need to be rude. Let them be rude if they want to. Doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us because we are Kick-Ass Keto Wars, right? So I'll see you later. Bye.